Welcome to the Personal CFO. Today we're going to be talking about a common question I hear, which is, hey Kyle, why don't we just put this money with Vanguard? Let's just invest with Vanguard. They're huge, they're low cost, they've been around for a while. What could go wrong? And today I want to answer a couple things that could go wrong and give us some bigger picture context so we can make better decisions for the future. So if you were to go to the Vanguard website and pull up all the ETFs, all the funds, exchange-traded funds that Vanguard has, there's 76 in total. And I did all this work for you so you don't have to, but let me give you the cliff notes that if you were to look at the best performer of the 76 and the worst performer of the 76, let's start with the best performer. So if you were going to pick the absolute best performer, I'm going to give you a chance. If you could guess which one it was, what do you think it would be? Okay, well, I'm going to tell you, it is, if you would have bought the energy ETF a year ago, you'd return about 90%. Now, if you were looking at the headlines in the media, you probably wouldn't have guessed that energy has almost doubled in the last 12 months, but it has. It's done pretty well. So of the 76, what do you think is the worst performer over the last 12 months? Well, this may come as an even bigger surprise. The worst performer is Vanguard's long-term Treasury bond ETF. That it's down more than 10%. It's down over 13% in the last 12 months. And so this might be pretty confusing. You think, well, I thought energy was riskier and not great, potentially, and I thought treasuries from the government were supposed to be safe. And it turns out that's not always the case. So when you look at Vanguard's 76 funds or exchange-traded funds, you have a gap between the best performer and the worst performer, in this case, of 100% rate of return. And so when you talk about, should I just go invest in X? Well, which one? There's a whole lot of options. I want to use an analogy that I think can be helpful here. So if I were to walk into Walgreens, okay, and I were to go to the pharmacy, and there's a big sign on the front of the pharmacy and it says, all medications are free, come on in. No prescription needed. I think, okay, great. That makes it interesting. Now, would I go to the back, around the side door, go and look at all the medications and just start picking things off the shelf? I mean, I might as well just go take everything, right? It's free. What are some of the side effects of that? All right? Now, who knows? Obviously, I would never do that. And yet, we see this quite a bit in investing, that if something is free, let's just do it and see what happens. And the key here is whether it's medication or whether it's looking at an investment fund or stock or whatever it might be, do you have a prescription for the medication, or do you have a reason and a logical reason behind why you're investing in what you're investing in? So do you know if you're going to be investing in the negative 13 or the plus 90? Now, again, no one knows the future, but you understand the risks you're taking, whether it's medicine or investments. And many times, the driver of that is your fund 0.1 or 0.2 or 0.3% a year. It's what is the overarching objective that you're trying to accomplish, and what's the best way to go about doing that? So what I'm trying to drive home here is when we say, well, should we just invest in Vanguard? Well, maybe. We use Vanguard. Vanguard's a great company. But the question is, well, which one? So I think it's important to talk about you should not take medication before you have a prescription, and you shouldn't accept a prescription before you have a diagnosis, which means more than likely you might need a doctor. Now, that could be you being your own doctor, which is absolutely fine. You just need to know what you're doing. But either way, it starts with diagnosis, then prescription, then medication. Don't start with the medication and then say, well, if it's free, it's better. It's not always the case. Sometimes you're negative 13, sometimes you're plus 90. Those are very different experiences. And again, as you've heard me say before, the most important takeaway is to know what you own and to know why you own it. I hope you found this useful. And as always, thanks for investing your time with the Personal CFO.